Zama, Councillor Zama. Good evening to the people of Tabaki, the Tabaki constituency. A special good evening to our visionary political leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bisesa. The constituency of Tabaki is happy to welcome you one day after celebrating Mother's Day to have the Mother of the Nation in our constituency. It is indeed a very special honor. Good evening and welcome to my parliamentary colleagues. Thank you for joining us for this Monday night report. And of course, a special good evening to you, our UNC family, who tune in and day out to all of our programs, be it the Monday night report, the press conferences, as we keep you informed as to what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago. So today, as we started our Monday night report, we started with Councillor Chairman Henry Awang, who spoke to us about the infrastructural issues facing our constituency, the local issues facing our people. Then we had MP Padarat telling us to stand our ground and stand up for our country because everything around us is collapsing. And then I listened to Rodney Charles. Rodney Charles was trying to educate the PNM about international relations. This is a group of people who cannot understand basic social studies. And I'll tell you why I said that. Basic social studies, they find it difficult to understand. I sat in Parliament during the Standing Finance Committee. I sat in the Parliament and I listened to Stuart Young respond to Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bisesa. And Mrs. Prasad-Bisesa raised the issue of the legal fees being paid out and that the government is consistently unsuccessful at the courts. So then you had Stuart Young, supposedly a lawyer, a statesman for quite some time, a former senator, all of these things hanging around your name, to stand up in Parliament and not know basic standard 5 common entrance social studies. And that is why we're in a state we're in, you know. We are in a state of collapse because from the very top, they are incapable of understanding basic governance. So you had a man who sometimes acts as Attorney General stand up and say, the UNC taking people to court, and people associated with the UNC going to court. Well, if on one hand, the executive is running rampant, we have no sense of accomplishment coming from a government who has held power for 7 years. If on the other hand, Parliament is its own thing, you see it, if you tune into the Parliament channel for even 5 minutes, you get a sense of what happens there. So what recourse does the people of Trinidad and Tobago have, if not the courts? And so I say to Rodney Charles, who I have the greatest and utmost respect for, as amazing an educator as you are, you yourself cannot teach the PNM. You cannot teach them basic social studies because they are incapable of learning. You've seen it. And so when we come here, for those of you who joined us coming through the Bonaventure Main Road via Gasparillo, I'm sure you saw it. You saw the landslip that we are facing. Again, that Standing Finance Committee, we got some information from them. Now, I've written several letters to Rohan Sinanan. Maybe some of them may not understand social studies, and maybe some of them don't know how to write because he hasn't responded yet. So I can't say. Maybe he can't write a letter, I can't say. But as far as I know, we have not received a response from Rohan Sinanan. But on this report from the Standing Finance Committee, under slope stabilization and rehabilitation of the Bonaventure Road, that very same landslip that you passed, they have part of that project as being completed. That is what they submitted to Parliament. If you pass there now, you say anything complete? Absolutely not. And so that is what passes for governance in this country, that they will submit anything that they want. They have no shame. Lying is commonplace to them. It is embarrassing now that we can ask legitimate questions and time to get answers, you say anything you want. So you telling me, as grown people, as respectable tax-paying people in this country, we must accept that when we ask a question, you could come and say anything. So we can't see that the landslip not fixed. We can't pass there and see in March of this year. In March of this year, they said, they issued a big press release from the Ministry of Works. They said the works to be completed, they are moving it, they're going to start the work in March of 2023. It is now May of 2023, and they told us that they are taking all of this time to move one T&Tech pole. We went out from the office, we looked for the T&Tech pole, no T&Tech pole in sight. So what they're doing? That's what I'm telling you. There's no respect from the government for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And on our walkabouts, I met a young man who said to me, MP, why are you doing this? You're young, you're in politics, why are you doing this? No difference between the PNM and the UNC. Chairman Awang was on the walk with me, John Lazama was on the walk with me, members of the executive were on the walk, so they could verify what I'm saying. The man said, what are you doing this for? No difference, all of you all are the same, more or less, right? So I look at him, I say, you're serious or you're just talking because you're Sima and you want to say something today? He said, no, what you could tell me what's the difference? I said, absolutely, absolutely. Because the UNC houses its development policy in the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We ground it in what it means to build the people of Trinidad and Tobago up. And what does that mean? That means constituencies like Tabaquite, where we have a rural component, parts of Brasso, Flanagan Town, Tabaquite, that you are not left out of the development program because you're too far away from Port of Spain. The farmers between Tabaquite, Tortuga, Lightbourne fed this country during the COVID-19 pandemic, only to be ignored now. So that we have to be begging for main road, begging for side road, begging for secondary road, and begging for agriculture access road. The Tortuga farmers who were bringing out hundreds of thousands of pounds of tomatoes, when the road collapsed in the rain in November, you know what they told us? They could walk it out, put it on your back and tote it out. That is the disrespect that people of this country are facing. So when MP Padarat says, stand your ground, it means stand your ground, stand up and be loud for the defense of your country. When Rodney Charles says, why are people so afraid of the PNM? He knows what he's saying. Because people are coming to us, MPs, councillors alike, and you can attest to this, one by one and saying, whispering in your ear, you know, in this so-and-so going on, they're victimizing teachers, they're victimizing nurses. I say, okay, well, let us go to the press, let us say something. No, can't do that. I will lose my work and I can't do that. If you are living in a country where you are afraid to speak out, that alone should tell you you have a problem. If you are comfortable to live in a country where you are more afraid of the government than the government is afraid of you, and you put them in power, then you have a problem. Then you have a major problem. And so I say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, when we look at the education sector, we went from a country that was global leaders, open scholarships, international scholars, to a Minister of Education telling us no. If they pass, they do real good. All we're hoping for is to make the pass mark. We have gone from a country where we prize our students who make academic achievement, where we hold up our student athletes, where we create a space through technical vocational studies for those who will be the drivers of our economy, those who will work in construction, who would work in mechanics and engineering. We have created that space. Kamla Persad-Bissessar as Prime Minister created that space, and they destroyed it. And so that when they come to you, and they say, oh, things real bad, real problems, and they don't know how, it is because they shut down every forward-thinking program that we had running and operational in this country. And so that when you look at a country that is in a state of collapse, from infrastructure, from the education sector, the health sector, and in that same country, they say to you, give us more money, pay more for electricity, pay more for water, pay your property tax, make sure your vehicle's inspected. That means, that shows you what the philosophy of the PNM is. That Balize House will forever and always be more important than the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That they will gladly put their hand in your pocket and squeeze out what you have, and then turn around and tell you, wean yourself off the government. That they will turn around and look at you and say, you citizen, you are asking too much. Don't ask us for roads. Don't ask us about water. Don't ask us why your tap's dry. Don't ask us for a job. Don't ask us for anything. But give us your money and give us your vote. And if we keep doing that, then everything we get and we look for, unfortunately. And so when the United National Congress comes to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, when we stand up and we say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a development plan for you. We know how to make a difference in this country, and we have a proven track record of that. You know what the PNM is coming to say? Any little old bacchanal and confusion they could make up. And, I mean, this is the party of email gate. I watched the current Prime Minister stand up in Parliament with 4 copybook pages and read out something and convince a whole nation of a Nancy story. And imagine, I mean, you could understand why. I mean, Mrs. Prasad Bisasa told us a story that his plane, when he was on a plane ride, his reading material was, what was it? What was it? It was Oliver Twist. No, it was something more primary school than that. It wasn't so advanced. Yes, Children's Illustrated Classic. That was his reading material. So, I will say doctorate or no doctorate, I can tell you what you're doing. You are driving this country into the ground. But I've said before and I'll say it again. This is a resilient country. This is a country of brilliant minds and smart people. This is a country that is meant to be first world and running things in the CARICOM region. We should not shy away from our destiny, Trinidad and Tobago. The only thing that is holding us back right now is the PNM. And once we get rid of them, we will take our rightful place in the region. Thank you very much.
Yeah!